your girl, Crystal Jim. If you are new here, I do videos about movies, books, music, TV shows, fandom culture, etc. So let's get into today's topic. The media that you watched growing up was a bad representation of black women. Yes, I said it. There are some movies and shows that you watch and still enjoy, but these movies are based around the misogynoir concept, and black men contributed to portray us in certain ways in the media. For example, Norbit. Norbit is the number one example of displaying the angry black woman. Rasputia was a larger black woman that had anger issues, and she was the villain of the story. And the competing lady, Kate, was a skinnier woman of a lighter complexion. Kate wasn't aggressive and wasn't rude. She was everything that Rasputia wasn't. And when you watch a movie like this, you can see how colorism and body type discrimination comes into play in this film. At this time of black films, it wasn't rare for the light-skinned woman to be soft-spoken and sought after, and it wasn't rare for the bigger, aggressive woman to have darker skin. But I noticed that black men would play these characters. They really couldn't find plus-size black women that would play Rasputia. Eddie Murphy has also done this with Professor Clumps as well. And Madea is another example as well. Tyler Perry was the number one person that makes movies portraying black women as angry, and this Madea character was his moneymaker. He had so many Madea movies in his catalog, and let's not forget the plays that he would host. He was basically making money off this angry black woman trope, and people wonder why younger generations are not open to watching Tyler Perry's work. And Martin Lawrence playing Shanae, a trope that portrays black women as ghetto and loud. He has also played the Mimi trope in Big Mama as well, and that is something that should be thought about. Black men for a while have been able to play black women and portray us any type of way, but I don't recall black women given the same freedom to portray the black man. And basically what I'm saying is, we know that Tyler Perry writes scripts and he directs movies. Eddie Murphy also does this as well. Even Martin Lawrence with his show, he was able to, act and stuff like that. But the thing is that they would dress up as black women and portray us. They wouldn't cast black women and, portray us. They would dress up as us. Tyler Perry would dress up as Madea. Eddie Murphy would dress up as Rasputia. Martin Lawrence would dress up as Shanae. And they never got a girl that fit these descriptions to play these certain black archetypes. And so when you think about it, when black women, we are present in the media and we are present in filming and stuff like that, yes, we can be giving characters that are archetypes, like the Jezebel archetype, the black best friend. There are many archetypes of black women that we have in media, and black women are also played as such, but you don't really see black women who are making media back then was able to cosplay as a black man and portray them any type of way. That really wasn't common, and you really don't see that. And these tropes that are pushed onto black women are very harmful ones. And as a black woman that wants to be a writer, I want to showcase the diversity of black women. We look different, we act differently, and colorism and misogyny plays a big role in how black women are displayed in media. But does this make these creators bad people? I wouldn't say that, but they are comfortable or complacent with the structure that is built in this country or built in this world. Racism is something that these people probably have talked about, but they don't realize, or they haven't dismantled that system. They haven't understood the intersectionality of our world. Yes, you can fight for your people, but you are also holding them back with how you are portraying the black woman in your community. These are nuances. There are nuances to this conversation. Now let's get into the Jezebel archetype or trope. It is a harmful stereotype that portrays black women as sexual or overly sexual and rebellious. This trope explains why young black bodies are sexualized at a young age, and this rhetoric does lead to the sexual abuse of black women and black girl children. The rap industry is a prime example of promoting this stereotype. The female rappers that are participating in the system didn't create it. They are using the flawed structure of the system to benefit from it. Rappers like Sexy Red and Megan Thee Stallion, Lotto, and so many more sees the benefit of using your body and to be able to benefit from the industry. The industry likes this Jezebel trope and sees it as a money maker. But at the same time, people don't realize that these people are human, and that's the problem. Women who are openly expressing themselves sexually or visually aren't often seen as human. Yes, women are aware that what they do can garner male attention, but it doesn't mean that they want it. Twerking, for example, is something that people do, but it doesn't mean that people do it for male attention. But people that live within the system don't understand that just because someone is portraying that Jezebel stereotype, quote unquote, doesn't mean that you can degrade them and assault them. And I'm not calling these women Jezebels. I'm talking more about their concepts that they are living in right now, or concepts that are just shown of them. People are nuanced, and people don't realize that there's more to Sexy Red. There's more to Megan Thee Stallion. They are more than the sexualization of their bodies, but people don't seem to grasp that yet. Slut shaming is a thing, and it is thriving, and that is why it's harmful to black women, because even the women that don't entertain this archetype are often seen in a sexual lens. People can't fathom a black woman just being herself, even if she has a curvy body or a body that's more desirable. They have to take it a step further and feel the need to colonize her being. And what I mean by colonize her being, by sexual harassment or speaking on her body in general in negative forms of ways when she did not ask for that type of criticism. And that's go for women who are expressive sexually. Even if some black women are expressive sexually, it doesn't mean that she's up for grabs by every man or person. Consent is a thing, and it should be practiced by everyone. But this concept of black woman is dehumanizing, and black people in general are often sexualized more. Even the black man is sexualized, but that is a conversation for another day. And we also have the mammy trope. The mammy trope in media is often often portrays us as domestic subordinate caretakers that are supposed to help the main character. You see these in movies like The Help, but let's talk about Eddie Murphy and how the mom in the Professor Clump's movie is a mammy archetype. You can also say that Medea by Tyler Perry is one as well. This archetype is always older black women being the sage in the movies. They basically bring guidance to the main characters. Now, there's nothing wrong with showing black women as motherly figures, but we are mothers, and some of us aspire to be mothers in the future, but it's the execution. Why are these mammy characters in media are dark skinned and big? And they are always used as a tool to make the audience laugh. That's why people like Medea, that's why people like Big Mama, that's why people like Professor Clump's mama. The big black woman is always portrayed as the mammy, and that is why people call the New York City statue by Thomas J. Price a mammy. The mammy trope is never portrayed by a slimmer black woman, and that is how fatphobic rhetoric in the black community is spread. Because compared to the Jezebel trope, slimmer black women are used in media for this trope. For example, Faith from Soul Food was a lighter complexion and she had a slimmer figure. Or in Players Club, Ronnie, who is a slimmer girl, was of lighter complexion. Even Ebony, who is a darker girl, had a slimmer figure. These women were portrayed to be rebellious and sexy, while while people project the mammy trope onto characters like Annie's from Sinners, a full-figure woman who was knowledgeable in the Hoodoo religion, but she was also a love interest, and some people didn't understand that. But it's because we have had black men play plus-size characters, and these characters were seen as mother figures and nothing else. And this isn't to say that those Jezebel examples are love interests. They weren't love interests. They were used for the lustful eye, and that is all that they were. You guys should watch Players Club or Soul Food, and you should see the actions of these characters. They really didn't display any positive behaviors, and they weren't the typical Jezebel trope. And I honestly think that there's nuance for these conversations. I know I said that already, but it's very interesting how the movies that you watch younger, back in the day, they are very much rooted in some form of discrimination or, white supremacist brainwash. And then on top of that, if we really think about it, like, you gotta look at all of your girls from the 90s and the early 2000s. Those bombshells in the black community were always with slimmer women like Nia Long, the girl that played Nunu from ATL, the biracial light-skinned girl, I forgot her name. But these women like Nia Long, you could say, who else? You could say Halle Bailey, Nia Long, Taraji P. Henson. Like, you could say Sana Lathan, Gabrielle Union, Vivica A. Fox is another one. And mind you, Megan Good as well. These girls were like very much. These girls was very much like the bombshells of the early 2000s or 90s. I would say Regina Hall and Regina King, but based on the films that I've seen them in, especially Martin Lawrence, Regina King was very much for comedic purposes, and Pam was very comedic purposes, and she was very aggressive and loud, as that was the trope of her. And then on top of that, with Regina Hall, when she was in these scary movies, she was loud, aggressive, and she was used for comedic purposes. The whole movie in general was comedy, so it wouldn't be like uncalled for her to be comedic, but at the same time, you guys understand what I'm saying. But I hope that I'm not talking in circles with you guys. Conversations like these are intersected in so many ways that the conversation topics intertwine with each other. I want you guys to let me know if I was correct in this video and give me thoughts on this video. Comment on some black movies that have these tropes in them, and also bring up some other tropes that are common for black women to play. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys later.